It is nightfall in Ferguson, Missouri. Will the chaos continue? This is Special Report. Good evening, I'm Bill Hemmer in tonight for Brett Baer. A stronger National Guard presence helped prevent a large-scale repeat of Monday's destructive violence in Missouri. The Guard will be out in force again tonight, but what about the protesters? Correspondent Mike Tobin is live in Ferguson, where we begin our coverage there. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Bill. And those National Guardsmen are now tasked to stand sentry in this miserable weather because the desire is still there to take to the streets and rage against the decision that cleared a cop. Those demonstrations are no longer contained to just Ferguson. Today, demonstrators shifted their location to downtown St. Louis. They blocked traffic, and when they attempted to storm City Hall, the ugly scenes of clashes played out again.
When you forced your way into the building and assaulted the city marshals, this assembly became unlawful.
These voices need to be heard. It is not okay to shoot an unarmed boy for 6 times in the middle of the street and then 108 days later say that we're not going to indict him.
That follows another destructive night back in Ferguson. In front of City Hall there, demonstrators attempted to turn over a police car, then set it on fire. Our cameras caught a demonstrator setting his own hand on fire, attempting to light a Molotov cocktail. With the presence of National Guard troops increased, the break-ins and fires decreased. Police call last night an improvement, although there were more than 40 arrests. The demonstration spreading around the nation picked up in intensity and destructiveness. In Oakland, California, windows were smashed, stores looted, and dumpsters set on fire. In New York, a protest wound around the city, then gave way to clashes and arrests. In Minneapolis, demonstrators blocked an intersection only to have a driver plow through them. One woman run over, escape with minor injuries. It all happens as the man at the center of this, Officer Darren Wilson, spoke on ABC News, explaining that he felt his life was threatened when he made the decision to shoot Michael Brown. He still feels he is right, and he has a clear conscience.
I don't think it's a haunting. It's always going to be something that happened. The reason I have a clean conscience is because I know I did my job right.
The parents of Michael Brown insist their son would not be the aggressor, that Wilson intended to kill someone that day.
His conscience is clear. How could your conscience be clear after killing somebody, even if it was an accidental death?
Those who side with McSpadden dismiss anything Officer Wilson has to say and continue to demonstrate. They say against a police system that profiles and brutalizes young blacks. Now, we watched today as Ferguson citizens took it upon themselves to clean up the damage at municipal buildings. Store owners decorated the boards on their storefronts for the holidays because there's nothing to indicate when this will end and those boards will come down. Bill?
We'll be watching. Thank you, Mike. Mike Tobin in Ferguson tonight. For the second time in 2 days, President Obama is flexing more of his regulatory muscle. This time he's targeting the air you breathe. But as with so many other things in Washington, he is meeting stiff resistance. White House correspondent Wendell Goler tonight tells us why.
The EPA's proposal would cut allowable smog levels from cars and power plants and industrial facilities by 5 or 10 parts per billion from the current 75. And the EPA will hear testimony on a further 5 parts per billion cut before a decision is made in 2015. Petroleum industry officials say that's like telling Houston to scrub its air as clean as Yellowstone National Park.
EPA is considering setting the standard in a range of 65 to 70, which is at or below the background measures that are measured already.
The proposal also drew a chorus of complaints from Republicans in Congress. House Speaker John Boehner calls it, quote, the most expensive rule ever proposed by the EPA. Soon-to-be Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said it, quote, appears to be more about politics than anything else. But EPA Administrator Gina McCarthy accused them of overreacting, saying since her agency was formed more than 40 years ago, quote, we've cut air pollution by nearly 70%, while our economy has tripled in size. The sky never fell. McCarthy says the tighter smog restrictions will save thousands of lives, prevent tens of thousands of asthma attacks, and thousands of days lost from school or work. She spoke to reporters earlier this month.
I feel very confident that the American people understand the value of EPA. I am confident that for 40-plus years we've been able to do our job and continue to grow the economy.
In 2011, President Obama said the economy wasn't strong enough for the tighter smog restrictions and ordered a delay. Then the unemployment rate was 9.1%. Now it's 5.8%. But critics say the economy still isn't strong enough. The Business Roundtable says many counties, they're shown here in red, still don't meet the current standards. And the head of the National Association of Manufacturers says it's unclear how they'll meet the new ones by the deadline for most in 2025.
You have to have some basis in reality to put a cost on technologies that will be used to attain the standard. If you don't know what those technologies are, if they haven't been created, they haven't been invented, and they haven't even been thought of, how can you assign a price tag to it?
Jay Timmons says the government's cost estimates don't include California, which gets extra time to meet the EPA standards. Administrator McCarthy expects some of the technology needed to meet the standards will be developed in California, since that's what's happened in the past. Bill?
Wendell, thank you. Wendell Goler from the White House tonight. The president is also proposing new regulations for something you likely use every day, the internet. He supports what's called net neutrality. Correspondent Shannon Bream tonight on why this could have a major effect on you and your family.
I'm urging the Federal Communications Commission to do everything they can to protect net neutrality for everyone.
But not all of the 5 commissioners President Obama appointed to the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, appear to be fully on board. The president is pushing the agency to issue strict regulations that would prevent internet and cable companies from providing different levels of access to consumers, and to reclassify the internet as a utility under a 1934 law.
That sort of heavy-handed approach, belies all the success that we've had over the last 10 or 15 years with a very light touch.
Skeptics, including FCC Commissioner Michael O'Reilly, say the changes would force internet service providers to contribute to a universal service fund.
This means that consumers of these services would face an immediate increase in their internet bills,
rather than allowing providers to charge a premium to only those consumers who want faster connections. President Obama opposes that approach, saying a wide-open internet via strict federal regulation comes at a lower cost, allowing anyone to launch a new idea or political movement. Following a January ruling by a federal appeals court striking down portions of the FCC Open Internet Order 2010 and viewed as a blow to net neutrality efforts, the FCC has been working on a new framework. The president has publicly acknowledged he cannot tell his FCC appointees what to do.
He's created a real problem for the FCC because the agency has been trying to balance the needs of consumers on the one hand with the interests of the internet service providers on the other. But Obama's statement made it much more difficult for the chairman of the FCC to thread that needle.
Regardless of what the FCC winds up drafting, the commission's chairman says he fully expects to face lawsuits from the major cable companies and other service providers, likely launching an expensive legal battle that could last for years. Bill?
Shannon, thank you. Shannon Bream here in Washington with us. More on this a bit later with the panel. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg resting tonight following surgery on an implant for a stent in her heart. The 81-year-old went to the hospital last night after feeling ill during exercises. A blockage was discovered in a coronary artery, and the procedure was performed a short time later. She is expected to be okay, expected also to go home sometime in the next 2 days. A record high for the stock market. Again, the Dow gained 13, S&P 500 up 6 today, and the NASDAQ finished ahead by 29 points. That is a big day for the technology sector. On the day before Thanksgiving, there's a big storm on the East Coast, and this could cause some holiday travel stress. What you see on your screen is creating a ripple effect throughout much of the country. Jonathan Hunt at New York's LaGuardia Airport for us tonight there.
For millions of travelers, this Thanksgiving may not be the happiest, with flight and traffic delays disrupting and, in some cases, destroying plans. But in the spirit of the holiday, passengers at New York's LaGuardia Airport remain determinedly optimistic.
I fly a lot, so I just kind of learned to just go with the flow and just like whatever happens, happens.
We were kind of excited about staying, so actually we would like a delay, maybe. So, yeah, a few more days in New York. York.
Others say they have more to worry about than delays.
It's the first time to meet my family.
No, yeah.
I made him shave his mustache off, though.
Large numbers of flights have already been delayed into and out of airports in the northeast, and more are likely throughout the evening. Officials promise cots and blankets for those stuck for hours and say they'll do all they can to get everyone to their destinations eventually.
Anytime we're faced with the possibility of accumulating snow, we bring all hands on deck. We go to bat to ensure that our runways and our taxiways and our services are safe.
Road conditions from Washington to New York to Boston are making travel by car and bus equally slow, particularly along the I-95 corridor, with the worst of the weather just to the west of the interstate. The best bet for trouble-free travel seems to be the rails, with minimal delays. Tonight, some 700 flights have been cancelled nationwide compared to just 140 yesterday. But with the storm passing through overnight, transport officials are confident most travellers will make it to their destinations at some point tomorrow. If not in time for Turkey, at least in time to enjoy the pie. Bill?
And our very best of luck to each and every one of them, too. Thank you, Jonathan Hunt from LaGuardia Tonight. The Obama administration threatening to sue a company for defective airbags in your car. Takata Corporation has refused demands for a national recall, saying it's a regional problem in areas with high humidity. But regulators say 2 bags have ruptured outside of those areas, injuring drivers with metal fragments. Up next, why a top Democrat is being very critical of Obamacare. First, here's some of what our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 8 in Cleveland, police releasing video of an officer-involved fatal shooting of a 12-year-old boy. It shows Tamir Rice extending his arm with what appears to be a gun. Police say officers ordered him to put down the gun 3 times before shooting. The weapon turned out to be an air gun with its safety tab removed. Fox 9 in the Twin Cities, where engineering students from Orono High School made a robotic hand for a boy born without fingers. The plastic hand straps to his real hand, and the fingers bend, allowing the 7-year-old Johnny Skoog to grab things that were out of reach for his entire life until now. And this is a live look at downtown Portland, Oregon. Fox 12, one of the big stories out there tonight. Police handing out holiday food boxes to those in need. Inside there is ham and pie and stuffing, fruits and veggies. Families say they're very grateful for that support. The police department's Sunshine Division provides food assistance 6 days a week. And that's tonight's look outside the Beltway. From Special Report in Washington, we will be right back.